Oh.
Hey, I'm T.A. Charlie, and welcome to the Road to Concord with Professor Joe Bakanovic. Homeroom is on Rumble. You just go to Rumble and search channels for the Road to Concord. It's one word. When you find it, you go ahead and you click follow. It might mean you got to set up an account, but it's fast, it's easy, it's free. I did it, you can do it. For those technologically challenged members of the class, you can also catch us on Facebook and YouTube. After the show, it's uploaded to Podbean, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and BitChute. Just look for The Road to Concord. You can go to the blog page, that's theroadtoconcord.com. That's where you'll find all your show notes, study notes, and handouts for the class. The phone is working. If you don't know how to call in, email us and we'll think about it. Finally, you can email a professor at joe@theroadtoconcord.com. He's a little slow, but he'll eventually get around to emailing you back. This show is currently mainly listener-sponsored. If you are interested in advertising your business on the show, please email us. With that said, we ask for your participation on a value-for-value basis. If you find our show of value to you, then you provide an equivalent portion of your labor and treasure through the donate link on the Road to Concord blog page, the show description on Rumble, and in the comments on the other streams. And thank you to all of you who have and will support this show.
Good morning. Welcome to the Road to Concord. It is Monday, February 9th, 2026, and I am your host, Joe Bakanovic. I'm a little subdued today. Probably a good thing given the content that we're going to cover. I'm not even going to, we're just going to get right into it. We're not even going to bother with the prelims today. Not in that mood. Let me set this up for you. Okay. I just got a series of stories I want to share with you to begin with. Got some commentary for it. This is out of Gateway Pundit. All that matters here is the title. Governor Hochul signs Medical Aid in Dying Act, bringing in euthanasia and assisted suicide to troubled New York State. That's not where I wanted to start, but that works. And then we have this one. Hold on, we'll get back to that one. Secret Service agent who didn't secure the roof of the AGR building at Butler rally on day of Trump assassination attempt is still at the agency. So you have that level of a colossal failure and you can't be fired. Next article. O'Keefe caught on hidden camera. You know, the James O'Keefe. This is FBI official admits Minnesota fraud investigations will result in 0 arrests. Update, escorted out of the FBI building. You catch the FBI guys telling you that nobody's going to get arrested. And, you know, from Project Veritas, he does good work. And what do? They escort him out of the building. Next article from the Gateway Pundit. This job sucks. A DOJ lawyer melts down in court. Asks a Biden judge to hold her in contempt and jail her so she can sleep, so that she doesn't have to enforce the law. This is about putting, sending illegal aliens back home. So she doesn't want to enforce the law. She wants to enforce her left-wing politically woke agenda. So she asked to be put in jail so she doesn't have to enforce the law. The FBI is not going to arrest anybody. The Secret Service won't do anything about people who colossally fail and get their primary charge shot in the head. Here's another one. This is from the Geller Report. FBI Atlanta chief warned Fulton County before the raid, compromising the case. So now the FBI is actively working against the DOJ and the Trump administration, trying to clean up the election fraud and voter fraud in this country. It is rampant. It is not a subject of, that's just a conspiracy. It has been proven over and over and over again, the extent of which to the point that if the Democrats run your election precinct, you can't count your vote. You can't trust it. It's just to be assumed at this point that the vote is fraudulent. That's the prudent thing to do. And we have the FBI tipping these people off. Again, nobody fired. Gateway Pundit, staggering. Trump SBA suspends 111,620 California borrowers, fines nearly $9 billion in suspected small business fraud. First of all, do you really think that the government is just now finding out about all of this fraud in, Smallies in Minnesota or Wisconsin or whatever, and in the fraud in DC and the fraud in you think they really just now finding out about it? I don't. Elon Musk and Doge told them about it. Nothing happened. Made big press. The Republicans took credit for it and promptly reauthorized every bit of what Doge found and then more. So the Republicans gave it back. Oh, because we couldn't shut down the country. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You won't. So here's another thing. You have $9 billion in these 111,620 cases. You have the money in Somalia. I mean, the Somalis, the money out of Minnesota, Wisconsin, whatever that state that is, up there in Marxistville, that part of the country. And it's going to terrorists. You really think that the government is going to ever solve your problems? Well, big business is corrupt. Well, so's government. Well, the government won't be corrupt. Well, they'll just get in bed with. We're too stupid of a species to be allowed to survive. We should die off. We're too stupid to learn how to breathe. How is it that as a species, we keep falling for this stuff time and time and time again, thinking that a corrupt government is somehow going to stop a corrupt government? There's only one way you stop this. It is time for good men to remember the Jefferson option. But we're not going to do that because there are not enough good men left. Gateway Pundit, affirmative action quotas in question as female minority pilots caused half of pilot error crashes. This is DEI. And if you've not been following this, I suggest you go to YouTube. You find a channel called Taking Off, and you find a channel called Blanco Lirio Report, and you watch both of them. They cover the almost daily occurrences in our aviation community now of stupid stuff. Do you remember that crash up in Canada? I think it was the first part of the year or sometime last year. The airplane landed and the wing came off and it rolled over, burned on the runway. Turns out that was because the female pilot didn't know how to land the airplane. And they protected her from the get-go. Do you remember the crash in DC where the military helicopter flew into that civilian airliner? That, again, was a DEI female pilot. That was her fault. They're trying to protect her. But if you've watched, like if you're watching Taking Off or Blanco Lirio, they cover these NTSB reports. And they explain to you because they're both pilots and they're both, Blanco Lirio is former military. They both do crash investigation work. They're in this industry. And they're telling the truth. They're explaining what's going on. That female helicopter pilot had been 2 years in the Biden White House. She wasn't current. She'd been there because she's gay. So she's a LBGT, whatever, affirmative action political appointee into the White House. And then they're trying to put her into a very prestigious place in the military, flying the generals and politicians around in military helicopters, which is why they have that one route there. It's because the politicals and the bigwigs don't want to take the long way around to get where they're going. So they fly directly under landing civilian aircraft. It's an exception that should not be allowed. The FAA even said, quit this, and it didn't quit. This is in the NTSB, the NTSB, whatever, National Safety, whatever, NTSA, I can't remember. I'm losing my mind.
National Traffic Safety Bureau.
Yeah, NTSB. Yeah. That's why Charlie's there. He's the smart one. He just Makes me look like I know what I'm saying. But anyhow, they pointed out that the FAA had said to quit with all this stuff. But they've also reported out that there was a recording of the helicopter. They could see this plane the whole way. It should have been able to see it, and they didn't. Or this was intentional. We don't know. But we do know from the recording that the female pilot she had the wrong altitude. No. They did a visual. Have you seen the latest video?
They were using night vision. If they don't know how to properly use night vision, you may not have seen that aircraft.
They should have really seen the plane then, because for the last 2 or 3 seconds, the landing lights would have whited out the night vision.
And maybe that's what happened.
Well, they've got a video of this out now. But here's the thing. They also know that she had the wrong altimeter set on her side of the cockpit. That tells you that she shouldn't have been flying right there. And he had to repeatedly tell her to lower her flight path, and she ignored him. And he refused to correct her or take over the plane. He was the training pilot. Charlie, why would a male training pilot be hesitant to take over the flight controls from a politically connected female gay pilot being forced the system around the normally established rules? Why might he do that?
Because she would then report him for sexual harassment.
And he could lose his job and career.
Yes.
Yeah. That's exactly what's going on here, folks. I would not fly right now. I've been following this. My first love when I was a kid was aviation. I've been following this.
I won't fly now.
I've been following this very carefully. And these two people on YouTube, the Taking Off and the Blanco Lirio show, those two pilots are being very brutally, and they're fair. They're very fair. They go out of their way to be as deferential as possible. But when you listen to them, they're not so much reading between the lines. They're telling you DEI is making it very unsafe to fly right now. You got a pilot that was high on shrooms that was allowed to fly. And a lot of this stuff, nothing happens to them. Nothing. They're allowed to keep flying. This is, brothers and sisters, this is just, anyway. Next article, Gateway Pundit again. Tren de Aragua brutally tortures and kills innocent people while benefiting from federal funds. So it is a foreign terrorist organization in the United States being funded by federal taxpayer dollars. That's what this is. Well, no, Joe, there's just corruption in their skin. No. If this is known by the government, and it is, and you don't stop it, you just keep refunding it, saying, well, if I stopped it, then I got to stop the whole program. It doesn't matter what your explanation is. You are funding a foreign organization conducting a terrorist, waging a terrorist activity on this United States. That's an act of treason. That is an open act of treason. The entire federal government deserves to be convicted, lined up against a wall, and sent to Valhalla. Well, they won't go to Valhalla. They can go to Sheol for all I care. Everybody. There's not an innocent person. This is treason by the entire federal government. A righteous, principled person, male or female, would resign, would not run for office. Gateway Pundit again. Mask off. Chinese-born Texas Democrat sparks massive social media uproar when this horrific anti-white statement of his resurfaces. He's basically saying, minorities outnumber whites, let's just take over and establish apartheid. You want to start a shooting war in this country? Go ahead and try that. Apartheid never ends well for the minority group. This is proof that the replacement theory isn't a theory. Gateway Pundit. New Virginia Democrat Governor Abigail Spenger signs radical redistricting referendum to flip the House map from 6 Democrat and 5 Republican to 10 Democrat, 1 Republican. So why is this important? The Supreme Court, just last week, I think, sided with California and said, yeah, you can redistrict and take away, so that specifically for the purposes of taking away 5 Republican seats. So what's going to happen here, folks, is you're going to lose the 5 in California and the 4 here in Virginia in the midterms. You're going to lose them. But when the Republicans do try to redistrict, the courts step in and say, no, you can't do that. The judiciary is at war with the United States of America. Nobody's doing anything. The Republicans aren't even trying to redistrict where they have the authority to do so. Pakistanis who have never been to the United States are voting in California elections from inside Pakistan. That's communism, folks. That is straight up communism. Why? Forget it. Blaze Media, CCP playbook. Peter Schweitzer reveals China's plot to vote in U.S. elections. Well, if Pakistan's doing it, why shouldn't China be able to do it? Don't forget, the Democrats tell you this doesn't happen. This is all proof. Schweitzer's been all over this, proof that this has been happening. And then we have this. Mamdani praises Hijra and the Hijra or whatever. I don't give a crap. New York City mayor urges America to follow Muhammad's migration, a doctrine of Islamic conquest. And he's praising the migration to Medina. Do you know why Muhammad had to leave Mecca? Because they were going to kill him. Why? Because he was a heretic and they wanted him dead. Islam's not built on immigration. Islam is built on conquest. You become a Muslim or off with your head. Unless, of course, you're a people of the book, and then you either pay the taxes and become our slaves, or off with your head. This man said this from New York City, the former capital of the United States at the time of our founding, in the exact same place where Washington dedicated this nation to Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in a covenant pact after his first inauguration. Allah is not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's an imposter. If you're Muslim, I can prove that. This is not a nothing burger. But this country doesn't care. Finally, there's the governor, medical aid during dying. You know how I say that definitions are important? If I have to add an adjective to something, especially like this, I'm changing it. Assisted suicide is no longer suicide. That's like saying kind torture. Or how about this one? Let's just be totally absurd. Fornicating for chastity. Assisted suicide. By definition, suicide is a solo action. You murder yourself. As soon as you have help, it's no longer suicide. It is first-degree murder. Suicide is still first-degree murder. But as soon as this happens, the state is guilty of first-degree murder. The doctor, all medical personnel who helped do this are now guilty of premeditated murder by definition. Now, why did I put that up there? Let's just keep going. I've got more for you. AOC announces training sessions to instruct agitators how to obstruct ICE operations and dox agents. That is an act of treason. She should hang. And yes, I mean military tribunal. When she's found guilty tomorrow morning at sunrise, stretch her neck. Anti-ICE resistance manuals and training discovered at Minnesota schools receiving federal funding. That is an act of war against the United States of America by the federal government. You are at war with the United States. Nobody cares. Gateway Pundit. Shocked. Democrat Representative Nadler says Americans would be justified in shooting masked ICE agents. That is an act of treason. CNN contributor. It's time for a fumigation of MAGA. What does... That's a call to murder MAGA. That is an open call to murder MAGA. I am in a somber mood, sailor son. Trust me, I'm restraining myself. This is from Joe Hoft. Americans overwhelmingly support deporting criminal illegals. Local cooperation with ICE. They've done a study on this. The numbers are 73% agree that entering the United States without permission is breaking the law. 61% support deporting illegal aliens to their home countries. 58% reject the Democrats' extremist calls to defund ICE, now a core position of their party. And 54% support ICE enforcing our national federal immigration laws. That's a majority. What about our democracy there, Democrats? This is what democracy wants. Hey, Republicans, why aren't you doing this? You were elected to do this. You campaigned on it. Because you're traitors. You're part of a treasonous, traitorous party. I want no part of you. Don't tell me about how MAGA is a good thing. MAGA, if you're supporting the Republican Party, you're part of it. We are now at the point where if you're a Democrat and you say you're a good person, you're claiming to be a good Nazi. If you're a Republican and you're supporting the Republican Party, you are now claiming to be a good Nazi. I'm here telling you there are no good Nazis. That's my position. No good Nazis. Breitbart, Lawler, no realistic, it's not realistic, rather, to kick out all of 250 or 25, rather, million undocumented people. I can't read this because I know what party he belongs to. Lawler, not realistic to kick out over 25 million undocumented people. Illegal aliens! Jackwagon. He's a Republican from New York. It is realistic. You just Nike it. Do it. Well, Joe, how are you going to? Real easy. If I find you supporting an illegal alien and you are an American citizen, you're giving them a job, you're renting to them, you're doing anything to provide aid and comfort to them in this country, you lose everything you own, including your retirement, your pension, everything you own, and you go to jail for 10 years for sedition. Guess what? Those illegal aliens will take their happy butts home within a week because they won't be able to buy groceries. They won't be able to get a job. They won't have a place to live. They won't be able to get medical care. But you have to have the backbone to enforce something like that. Oh, no, we're not going to do that in this country. It's not controversial. CNN's Harry Ensign says 83% of Americans favor photo ID for voters. Why can't we have that? Let me explain to you why you don't secure the vote. Because you're gonna cheat. Well, Joe, you don't. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Well, Joe, you're suppressing the vote because some people. You know what? If they're too dumb to get an ID, they don't need to vote. Yeah, if they're too dumb or too lazy to get a legitimate ID, I don't want them voting. They shouldn't be voting. You know where the founding fathers really screwed up? It wasn't with slavery and racism. Nope. They screwed up when they overrode their initial impulse to make voting only for those people who own real property and who actually participated in a war, not served in the military, served during a time of war, have a combat action or infantry badge. You know, you got shot at for this country. Those were the only people that they originally were going to allow to vote. People who really had skin in the game. That was their biggest problem, biggest mistake. If they'd have done that, you wouldn't have had a problem with Georgia and South Carolina. I'm angry. I'm angry with the United States people. You are not the children of our founding fathers. We'll say, Joe, what are you doing? I've got a combat action ribbon. I know what it sounds like to have artillery rounds go off around you. I've had shrapnel bounce off the vehicle I was in. I had bullets bounce off the vehicle I was in. No, my war wasn't like some of y'all's. I didn't have to suffer the horrors of Vietnam, and I wasn't part of the war in the Middle East. I was Persian Gulf. My war was over in 100 days. But it doesn't matter. I signed the check that said up to and including my life. And I showed up when it was time to do it. I swore an oath to the Constitution. So, well, Joe, why aren't you defending it? The Constitution's dead. My oath is null and void. The document, the country, the people I swore my oath of allegiance to is no more. It's gone. I don't have an oath to this nation anymore. This is not the United States of America. It is in name, but it isn't in spirit. Not even close. If it was, we would take these judges who turn somebody loose on the streets after 72 times in the courtroom. They turn them loose for the 73rd time, and that person kills, rapes, murders. We would grab that judge, drag them out in the street, and lynch them. No trial, no court. You did it after lynch them. Hang the judge. Because that judge is guilty of whatever crime that person committed. Say, well, Joe, you're not showing compassion. Yes, I am. Mercy to the innocent, to the guilty rather, is cruelty to the innocent. The scriptures tell me to remove the evil from amongst my numbers, my community. If you have been in the court 72 times, you have proven you have no interest in living in civil society. Civil society, therefore, has a duty to eliminate you. And the fact that there are people listening to me right now who find what I'm saying repulsive shows that you are no longer an American. Because you don't have the intestinal fortitude to maintain a free and self-governing country. Comment on the board from Deltarosa says, is the party system unconstitutional? Technically, yes. And Washington warned us against it. And it's because you're putting loyalty to the party above your loyalty to your constituents. That's the same thing as being of dual citizenship. It gives you a divided interest base. But you have to go to the Declaration to find that. People don't think the Declaration is a founding document. I'm going to take the break early. I'm not happy. But when I come back, I'm going to get into the title of today's show. The French Revolution, Star Trek's Day of the Dove, and Machiavelli. And if I wanted to, I could have thrown in the Book of Revelations, conspiracy theory, and a whole bunch of other things. QAnon. Yeah, QAnon. And the White Rabbit. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Charlie, if you don't mind. Okay. I'm still not with it, but we'll just do the best we can. It's not one of these shows that's happy, happy, joy, joy. It's not what people want to hear. I don't care. It's not what I'm here for. This is today's show notes. It's a picture from a TV show, Star Trek, the original TV show, season 3, episode 7, Day of the Dove. The plot line is fairly simple. In the show, there's an entity, and this is in your show links, whatever, but there's an entity that takes over. They get the Klingons and the Star Trek, the Federation people together, and they maroon them on the Enterprise, and then they get them fighting because the entity feeds off of hate. And what it's trying to do is trap, and it won't let you die. You can't die. If you kill each other, it brings you back to life. And what the entity's trying to do is get the people to fight forever so that it has a continuous food source forever and ever and ever, so it can feed off of this. This is going to be part and parcel to the French Revolution, because that's what happened in the French Revolution. It started out with good intentions, and Jefferson and Thomas Paine, they both went over there to help the French because they thought that the French were going to have a revolution a lot like that in the United States. But the French were at best deistic. This was human rights, not natural rights. This was man as his own God. That's what the French Revolution was actually about. And it almost cost Paine and Jefferson their lives. They barely escaped. They were going to kill Paine, I believe. He barely got out of there. This got so bloody that they were guillotining 10-year-old children in the streets. Blood ran. It was depravity. These people, the French went nuts. And anybody, you just kill people just because. It's what's going on. It's the same spirit as Day of the Dove. It's the same spirit that has gripped the United States. Now, we're blaming it on the left, but it isn't the left. We're allowing this. It's the spirit that gripped Germany in World War II. It blames somebody else. You always have a Patsy or whatever. In the Germans' case, it was, the Jews. The French Revolution, it was the aristocracy, the king, whatever. Our revolution, the United States and the founding fathers, they weren't blaming anybody. They were blaming tyranny. Well, the French did it in the name of tyranny, but they blamed the rich. Communism blames the rich people, actual people, not an abstract idea or thought. Tyranny can be, it doesn't have to be the rich or the powerful or the political. Tyranny is any time that one group of people tells you that you can't do what they're doing. You have to do what they tell you. There's two sets of rules, one for them and one for you. You can get tyranny out of a corporation. You get tyranny in your own household. But the French Revolution quickly devolved into nothing but a bloodbath. And there's a reason for it. They were following Hobbes. Might makes right. Where do you get that from? This idiot. I hate this man. I was telling Charlie before the show, in the pre-show, that if there was a time machine and I were to have access to it, I would go back in time. There'd be one and only one philosopher I would want to kill. It wouldn't be Marx. It'd be this moron, Machiavelli. This is my textbook from when I was in philosophy school. Oh boy, did the teacher have their hands full with me during this class. I hate this man. Bill Clinton loves him. He wrote a book called The Prince. Clinton loves him. And so does Trump. Why? I will boil Machiavelli down to one thing for you. Well, two things. The goal is power. The way you do it is might makes right. As long as the ends justify the means, that's what you do. That's how Machiavelli works. Morality does not, he writes about his idea of morality, but if you read The Prince, what it comes down to is, well, I have the higher moral duty to save mankind. So if I have to kill, 7.5 billion people to save 500 million, that's what I have to do. That's the higher good. That's John Stuart Mill. That's the evil of man's depraved mind. I hate this guy. A lot of people love him. This is realpolitik. This is Wilson, Machiavelli. When Wilson says that, people are just the clay in the hands of the consummate leader, he's paraphrasing Machiavelli in The Prince. When Steve Dace likes to say that we're never been a nation of laws, we're a nation of political will, he's essentially saying Machiavelli wins. And that's what it's talking about. Practical politics rather than idealism. This is the way the world really works rather than, the way you want it to work. Well, I got a little news flash for you, boys and girls. That's continuous thinking, continuity thinking. That's pagan thinking. That's worldly thinking. That's not transcendent thinking. That's not godly. And that's not what the Creator put us down here to do. He put us down here to fight against people like Machiavelli. But oh no, we can't do that. Machiavelli is our hero. This is an article I got from one of my friends. He's in New Zealand. This is The Good Oil. It's from New Zealand. It's about USA politics. It says Trump's move is right out of Machiavelli. Sending in Tom Homan is a play straight out of The Prince. Okay. What we're about to read is this. It's just another version of QAnon. The White Rabbit. That was all about how just hang in there, the 2020 election, the military and Trump and the secret white hats are going to save us, and this isn't going to happen. And it did happen. It did happen. So I'm not falling for that again. And what I read in this article is QAnon. It's another white rabbit. It's a hang in there. This is what Trump's really doing. It's 3D, 4D, until, of course, he gives us another Operation Warp Speed and kills off a whole bunch of Americans using the jab, and then lets Fauci go and doesn't do anything about it because, he was involved. So have you ever noticed that all the really, really, really ugly stuff that has happened to us since 9/11 was shoved down our throats by Republicans? Have you noticed that? Well, not Obamacare, Joe. Oh, yeah. Obamacare, too. They helped with that. They could have stopped it and didn't. So this article says, in his classic of realpolitik, the medieval style, The Prince Machiavelli, The Prince is his book, has some savage advice for leaders who need some dirty work done. First, send in your toughest thug to do the actual work. Once the dirty deeds are done, though, make a big show of disapproval in removing the thug and replace him with a nice guy who is also one of your cronies. That way, the dirty work gets done, but the leader can pose as the savior. As it happens, U.S. President Donald Trump has cited The Prince as one of his favorite books, which puts him in the company of the founding father, Benjamin Franklin, as it happens. And he's obviously learned a thing or two from it. And it talks about how he put Holman in there to make, whatever. So I'm not going to read the quote. The editorial says, Bovino, with the guy who was there, was the tough guy sent in to do the dirty work. Dirty work, all but done. Bovino's head rolls, and Holman steps in to be the nice guy. Not that the administration is exactly backing down. Really? It has backed down. He says, in other words, the article continues, in other words, a state government that had gone rogue is being pulled back into line and will do what it should have done all along, assist federal agents in their entirely lawful duties. Really? So long as Waltz is in control of how he does that. Waltz won, folks. This article says he didn't. I'm sorry. Waltz won. Perception's reality, and the left thinks that they defeated Trump in Minnesota. So as far as they're concerned, he did. And when I get done with this article, I'm going to prove to you that the article is wrong. He continues, this is Minnesota governor and former Democrat VP candidate Tim Walz has also announced his retirement from public office, likely trying to head off the indictments. Oh, please. They can, if JR can come back from being dead for a whole season, a Democrat can certainly come back from being in the dumpster like this. Already, the Trump administration is swooping in on some of the public faces of the insurgency. Former TV host Don Lemon and his alleged co-conspirators have been arrested for their part in the violent storming of a church just a few weeks ago. And then the court said you have to let him go, so they rearrested him, and still nothing's going to happen to him. This is all just kabuki theater, and the article is written by somebody who doesn't understand it or is part of it. If, as Holman appointment suggests, the administration is making a strategic withdrawal, heading weeks more damaging attacks from a legacy media deep in cahoots with this insurgents, then, if they're smart, they're drawing up even more indictments, especially the leaked signal chats that expose not only how organized the insurgency is, but the collusion of the public officials and where at least some of the funding is coming from. If it's not his potential involvement in the insurgency that Waltz has to worry about, it's also the fraud. Remember what Democrats spent 4 years finger waving? No one is above the law. Really? Well, folks, let me ask you a question. For the love of God, arrest somebody already. Have they? No. They arrested Don Lemon. Don Lemon is a nobody, boys and girls. He's inconsequential. Just a second, I'll get to the comment. They committed open treason and nothing happened, which emboldens them to commit more. Comment on the board from William Holt says, with that motivating factor, one can excuse literally any atrocity that they can commit. This is what I'm sure motivated the multinational intelligence agency blackmail honeypot operation under Epstein to gain compromat on their targets. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah. This is Machiavelli, boys and girls. This is... Let me explain what I fear is actually happening. So we know that the patent for the jab was approved before COVID-19 became an issue, months before. They had the cure before the disease. And we know that Fauci said that Trump was going to have to deal with a pandemic during his first presidency. And lo and behold, that's what happened. And we took the jab because of Trump and his warp speed. And the right cheered him. MAGA cheered him. Just like the Patriot Act, MAGA cheered W. And TARP, MAGA's cheering W. And NAFTA, MAGA cheered the Republicans, led by, all three of those. TARP and the Patriot Act and NAFTA were all that. Rush Limbaugh led the charge, and later on tried to gaslight you and said he was never for it. Rush Limbaugh was against the Tea Party when it first started. I was listening to the show when it happened, Rush, and you ditto heads. Later on when he said he was against it that's gaslighting. He lied to you. His audio is still online. You can still go find where he was originally against the Tea Party. I used to listen to that moron until I started catching on to what he was doing. Forget it. But this is what's going on. The right is being played just like the left. You're being set up by the entity in the day of the dove to fight each other. It feeds the beast. That's where the book of Revelations would come into the title if I wanted to throw it in there. You're feeding the beast. Hatred, nihilism. I was talking to one of the audience members before the show started. He says communism feeds on nihilism. Yes, that's because it's man is his own God. It's nihilistic. Anything that seeks to destroy the creator's creation is of the enemy, the rebel, the rebellious one, Satan, whatever you want to call it. So where are we right now? We're in the same pattern we had before the 2020 election. This idea that Trump is playing chess is a lie. Trump is doing exactly what he did in 2020. He is advancing the left-wing deep state agenda in a way that prevents the right from realizing what's happening and moving to stop it before it's finished. Why do I say that? What has Trump really done? What has he done? What has he actually codified into law? Oh, well, the Republicans are in his way. Yeah. How many more times are you going to buy this lie? I'm starting to really get a bit tired of it from the right. You're supposed to know better, but apparently you don't. I honestly don't know what to do with supposedly our side anymore. I don't. So I want to share this one with you. This is at the head of the top of the blog, The Road to Concord. Right now, there are 3 blog pages. They connect with each other. There's 3 blog posts. I want to show you something. It's official. Terrorism is the way to defeat America. And what am I talking about? Well, we had terrorism in Minneapolis. Trump caved. We had terrorism with BLM and Antifa. Trump caved. And we had a thrown election because of all of this. You have terrorism here. Minneapolis Comedy Club cancels appearance by hilarious right-wing comedian, even though he sold out 6 shows. Amazon pulls Melania Trump documentary from Oregon after the left attacks and the film in the marquee. If you attack a speaker in a college, the speaker is told he can't be there anymore. Terrorism wins in America now. The pattern is plain for anybody who wants to see it. Terrorism wins in the United States. Even Cheeto Jesus caves. Donald Trump signals shift in deportations. Feds will enter sanctuary cities only if mayors ask and invite the feds to come in. He's got a constitutional duty to go enforce the law. Now he's not going to do it. He caved. But no, he didn't. That was the goal all along. You see, Machiavelli works here. That New Zealand article is correct. If the goal is to topple what is left of the republic without the patriots seeing what you're doing. You know, there's a meme out there that Donald Trump on the Oprah Winfrey show says that if he ever ran for president, he'd just run as a Republican because it's easier to fool Republicans. And the fact checkers will tell you he never said that, except, once again, Rush Limbaugh played that on the radio. I remember hearing it. So why would they gaslight you? So that you would not realize what he said. And what did he mean about you being easier to fool? You're not stupid. You're actually more intelligent than the left. It's just that all I have to do to fool you is wrap myself in a flag in the Constitution. And you'll swallow the bait, hook, line, and sinker, just like we did with the Patriot Act. Amply named, wasn't it? And TARP, we got to end capitalism to save capitalism. And then the COVID jab, we got to save America from this. So top Democrats show demands for stealth amnesty on ICE operations via the DHS budget. And the Republicans are voting for that. So they're going to defund the Department of Homeland Security, ICE. And Trump's already agreed to this. They're going to pass the budget, but they're going to put DHS in a separate budget and defund ICE. And you haven't been paying attention to that because the media, not even Fox, is really telling you about it. Connect the dots. These are the other 2 posts I got. Okay, the second one here, the taboo goal of the deep state. NGOs use American tax dollars to relocate migrants. Yes, they do, within the country. They also were using American taxpayer money under Obama to import them from down south. Beck's people proved that. They have the government documents. That still, you have to be a member of the Blaze. That'll cost you $100 a year. But if you're a member, the information's still there for download on their private pages. But they have to keep it private because otherwise you'd get scrubbed. Here's another article. American citizens need not apply. U.S. companies illegally hiring only visa workers. Well, Trump has increased the visas. And then he says, well, I'm not going to have this anymore. I'm going to do away with it. He's the one who increased them. If this was Bill Clinton, we'd be screaming. He's talking out of both sides of his mouth. Well, why aren't you doing it? Because you're MAGA. You've been sold a bill of goods, just like the left was sold a bill of goods with Clinton and Obama. And you can't see it. Then another one. Top Democrats show demands for stealth amnesty on ICE operations via DHS budget battle. That's another one about the same story. Musk calls out unfair blue state advantage gained from illegal immigration. This is going to include the census and letting illegals vote, people from outside the country vote, letting the Chinese vote. Musk is right. Study, 10 to 27% of non-citizens are illegally registered to vote. That's not an election, folks. That's communism. Clear and simple. That is a revolution. that you're not even fighting against because you've been convinced this is about illegal immigration. No, this is about letting the world decide what America does, removing our borders. This is George Soros and the Open Borders Society. And it's not really Soros. This has been in our government ever since FDR, ever since Wilson. Excuse me. Another one here, West Forbidden Truth. Ethnic cleansing is now official policy. You want to read that article. The taboo conservatives refuse to confront. You might want to read that article too. I'm not going to get into it in detail here, but this is about cleansing white folks. This is a reversal of what Hitler was trying to do. And what you're really doing, it's not about, now hear me clearly, this isn't racism. I'm not going to white supremacy. I'm going right here. Erase the Bible, lose the West. And that's the point, which is a return to paganism. And that's the point. If you return to paganism, I return to the French Revolution. I return to Day of the Dove. I return to Machiavelli. Machiavelli is lawless. There's no morality in Machiavelli. Finally, third story, America, death by willful ignorance. The story's in here. Breaking, Supreme Court allows California to use Democrats' new congressional map to eliminate 5 GOP House seats. Virginia, 5 things to need to know about they're doing that there too. And then disgusting. Majority Leader Thune is already waffling and backing away from passing the SAVE Act for securing U.S. elections. So the Republican Party is helping the Democrats take over and turn the country into a one-party country on purpose. This is intentional. This is not an accident. This isn't a rhino waffling. This is his role in the uniparty. Remember, the left advances the ball. The Republicans refuse to allow the ball for you to regain any more ground back. The left ratchets, the right stops the ratcheting. That's their job. That's what they do. All of this is designed to erase the country as it was originally founded. All of it. Right in front of your eyes, and you're not going to see it. You're in the matrix, and you're not red-pilled. You think you are. Most of us aren't. Yes, the church is, son, the church has erased the true gospel of the word. Yes. Yeah, that's happened too. That's why the church can't see this. The church is not helping. Nothing. Why do we trust Donald Trump? What has he corrected anything that happened to him in his first term? Is Fauci in jail? Did anything happen from Russiagate? Why isn't Hillary in jail and Obama? We now know, or at least we think we know. Who was it? Tulsi Gabbard, I think it was, said that they found the evidence that Obama was behind Russiagate all along in the Steele dossier, helping Hillary do this. That's treason, folks. That was election fraud. That was an election manipulation. And why aren't the executives of the media that knowingly pushing lies? Because they knew the Steele dossier was fake. They did. That came out in the congressional hearings under the Democrats. Why aren't any of them in jail? You have everything you need to arrest them. Why wasn't Waltz arrested for committing treason? And you still trust Trump? I don't. I'm sorry. I voted for him now. I voted for him in the hopes that he was what he said he was going to. No. He's a liar. He's a traitor to this country. Everybody who supports him is putting themselves willingly in league. I know. You're going to say, well, I have a different opinion, Joe. Okay, you have a different opinion. Show me through his actions how he's doing anything to correct the mess we're in. I can only know his heart by his fruit, by his deeds. I'm telling you what I'm seeing him doing. Show me how that saves anything. Because I saw one thing online. It says, well, what he's doing with Iran, that's going to fight the petrodollar. No, he's not. If you want to fight the petrodollar, you got to start with OPEC. Iran's not part of OPEC. That same article said that Trump is making moves to outlaw the Fed and get rid of it. No, he's not. He's making moves to bring the Fed under his control. So everything I found on Facebook, that this one post telling me all the good things that Trump was doing, secret QAnon crap again that we just have to give him time for. That's not what it's going to do. If you want to end the Fed, you audit it. Why haven't they audited the Fed? He talks big about it. We're going to audit the Fed. The last president that said he was going to audit the Fed and meant it got shot in the head in Dallas, Texas. And that is probably why he really got killed. Nobody's going to do these things. So if you're supporting Trump, you tell me why. If you support the Republican Party, show me where they're actually taking back the ground we've lost. Not talking about it, not making a show about Doge found all these cuts, we've stopped them. And then a month later, let's give them the money back quietly, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Well, we had to do that, or the Democrats were going to shut the government down. And oh my God, it's the same dance. I'm so sick and tired of it. How many times, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. How many times are you going to let them fool you? Are you going to swallow the Kool-Aid? What do we do about it, Joe? Get ready to live under Caesar or the Politburo or whatever. Get ready to live under tyranny. Start learning how to survive. Find your friends that escaped from behind the communist curtain, the Iron Curtain, the communist bloc. Find those. I've got a friend of mine. He watches this show. I'm thinking about actually, he has offered to do this before. We might give him an hour to come on and teach you how to start learning to live behind the Iron Curtain, because he did. His family had to escape it. He remembers it. We're going to have to live behind that. You are heading into what will probably be the darkest time in human history, because it'll be global. And these things on the internet about how many times the conspiracy theorists have been right, and we still won't do anything about it. Normalcy bias, it's a powerful thing. Fear is a powerful thing. But the scriptures, if you're a believer, will not let you count that as an excuse. So no, you're not, without an established government, a rightfully established government, we can't resist this one. But you know what? You're never going to get that rightfully established government, because everybody says, well, we can't have the states seceding. Lincoln proved you can't do that. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Just because he did one civil war doesn't mean you can't do it again. Times are different. You might get away with it, but you won't even try. So if you don't have a rightfully established government, you can't resist. And when I tell you what to do, everybody tells me how I'm wrong. Okay, fine. Show me another group of men or women anywhere in human history that established a free and self-governing republic in a way other than what the founding fathers did. There's only one other example, and you dang sure don't want that one. That would be Moses. And he had divine help. But then again, the founders said they did too, from the same God, because they did the same thing Moses did. That's where they got their pattern from. Oh, but we can't go there. So as long as we keep accepting where we can't go and what we can't do, tell me how you're going to change the outcome. Charlie?
Hey, wonderful show.
Your turn.
I so enjoyed this show today, Joe. It was so uplifting.
You can tune out. You don't have to be here.
But it just shows.
How am I wrong? You're more optimistic than me. You are. You're a counterbalance to me. How am I wrong?
That's the problem. I can't see where you're wrong.
So I've just brainwashed
That's-
you, and now you're a fanboy, right?
I'm not a fanboy because it's truth is truth. And unfortunately, you can't fight truth. I mean, you can try, but in the end, truth will prevail.
Yeah, you could sweep
And-
water uphill for a while.
Yes. That's
and if you think I'm kidding, go do it. Get yourself one of those
you can do it.
heavy fiber whisk brooms.
Yeah,
and
yes, you can
make yourself a board, put 2 runners on it. You can sweep water uphill for a little while. Put the hose up there.
Yep.
But the more water comes down the hill, the faster and harder you got to sweep.
Yeah. And it's and eventually you're going to get tired, and then the water's going to come crashing down, and you will see the consequences of truth in your life.
You see, that's how free will works in a universe where Yahweh's will prevails. Yahweh's will is the water. You're welcome to swim upstream.
Yes.
And as long as you can sweep fast enough, hard enough with a big enough broom, it'll work.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, you got to sleep.
Sooner or later, it'll come down on you. And that's what's going on right now is we're still sweeping uphill, but the water's starting to come over the broom. So
I think we have a conversation we have to have with a friend of ours there, Charlie.
Yeah. Oh boy, that'll be a show.
Mr. Holt says he wants the show about how to live behind the curtain. We have had somebody offer to teach exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll talk to him, see what he wants to do.
Yeah.
You have to understand he's very paranoid about the state with good reason, because the state, the Germans, the communist Germans, made a good part of his family disappear.
Yeah.
So he knows what we're dealing with.
He can count the people remaining in his family on one hand, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but we'll talk to him and see what we can't do. It'll be an extra hour. It'll be something more. Just like there are a few things I'm thinking about maybe doing as an extra bonus to the show. So, and Charlie's going to start teaching a few things that may and may not become an extra bonus show. We'll discuss how we want to do it, but we might be adding to the we might be adding to the show.
We could actually record these offline and then just put them up whenever we want to throw them up.
Because that's how we do it. The phone wouldn't. Charlie and I will talk about this, but you'll want to if you're not subscribing to Rumble, or one of the other pages, Facebook, YouTube, or whatever. If you're not subscribing to us wherever you consume the show, you'll miss when we do the extra special stuff. You have to have hit the bell so that, wherever they're at, you have to hit the bell so that you'll get the notification when we schedule these shows. Because the series lineup I have right now is not going to change. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is set.
We've got a pretty locked schedule right now as far as what we're doing. So, yeah.
But we have extra material that we'd like to teach, and that will have to come as additional shows. So, and we'll do them as standalones, hopefully, and we'll get back with you here soon. Let Charlie and I talk about this. But yeah, the behind the curtain, how to live with it. It might be 1, 2, or 3 shows or whatever, but it'll be very, very valuable because that particular brother knows exactly what he's talking about. So we'll look at it. And then I know that Charlie's wanting to teach something about biblical finance again, and he wants to teach a series on Hebrew. And Charlie, it might be more profitable to just do those as pre-recorded shows and put in a folder and let people access them as they want to.
Yeah, that might be a way to do that.
Because I still have, and I've got some philosophy things I want to teach that there's no place to put them right now. Because we're going to keep doing the Manic Mondays. But
yeah, unfortunately, we kind of got to, because I mean, it also shows, the other shows we're doing. Monday is the day that shows all this stuff is showing up in real life. So I think it does have value from that point of view, at least.
The story I posted about the assisted suicide, keep your quaaludes, folks. The story I posted about the assisted suicide. Now, let me name a few things real quick. And then let's see if Charlie can do the math for us live on air. So
Oh,
get ready for a
geez.
pop
Oh,
quiz,
no.
Charlie.
Here we go. No. I hate this.
They want to reinstitute red flag laws. We're going to have assisted suicide, just like the Canadians, so that can happen even against your will. And Trump wants to reinstitute the insane asylums.
Oh.
Now do the math for me. Where will that go if you're one of the 10% that doesn't get in line and Heil Hitler?
We're talking about the Weimar Republic again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. And gather these people up into these FEMA camps that they say don't exist, and then load up the trains, and from there on we won't say any more because YouTube might catch us.
Well, let me show you something real quick. Let's see how fast I can do this, because there's one other thing in today's show I didn't show you. Let me show you right here. A little relevant conspiracy theory. Is the left's rage about to turn as bloody as the French Revolution? They're talking about guillotines here again in this show.
Yeah.
You know, the guillotines that all the fact checkers tell
suicide,
you don't
right?
exist. Yes. And in the FEMA camps. Now, when you check the fact checkers, they'll tell you it doesn't exist, except that Glenn Beck's people have a federal government document authorizing and purchasing 10,000 guillotines. It was in the budget. That's been published. It's on the internet if you know where to go to find it, but you're going to need the Wayback Machine. It's just that Glenn Beck's people published it 5 years ago. Now, what Charlie was telling you, that's exactly what happened in the Weimar Republic. They involuntarily committed people to the asylums, and then they liquidated them against their will.
Yeah. Yep.
So, Mr. Holt says, I'm in danger of going to the camp. He says, we're obviously mentally unwell and are responding poorly to reprogramming, Joe. Remember now, Obama's buddies, the Weather Underground, openly admitted that they were going to have to liquidate 10% of the population when they took over. At that time, it was 25 million people. Now it would be something like 35 million people. It's what the communists always do every time they take over. They murder the people that they can't control. It just so happens to be that those are the rich and the artists and the scholars and the scientists that make society work. So when you get rid of the people who actually know how to do, you end up with communists always have. The workers in charge and not knowing how to grow the potatoes. So there are no potatoes to feed anybody.
And before I left the military, and I've been retired now longer than I was in the military, so it's been over 20 years ago. There were training sessions going on where basically they were telling me that I was a domestic terrorist because I held to the Constitution, and this was back when Tea Party was a thing and stuff and everything. And that's kind of what's going on right now. Yeah, I know. It's all there.
If that one's a terrorist, what is this one? An appeal to Yahweh. By the way, that was our very first battle ensign in this country right here. The appeal to God with the green evergreen on the white banner. That's our first battle ensign. That's the flag that flew over the United States' first armed ships. So, yeah. God had nothing to do, and religion had nothing to do with the founding of this country. Very first flag. So, all right. We'll get out of here. I know I'm a bundle of joy, folks, but I'm an acquired taste. What can I say? I have to look the monster in the eyes so I know what I'm dealing with. And one of the things I want to teach that I'm probably going to start, I'm probably going to do my show. It'll be separate. I need to start teaching Islam to you. It would be 6 months from now before I can start teaching it according to the schedule we've laid out. It needs to be taught sooner. Islam will just flat look you in the eyes, lie to you with a smile. You have got to know Islam. So I'm thinking about teaching. It'll probably be an 8 to 10 class course on Islam. And I will be using Islam's own material. If I ever taught Marxism, we would be all up in Marx. I'm not afraid to wade into the devil's den, grab him by the short and curlies, and expose him for who and what he is. All he can do is kill me. Can't eat me. That's against the rules. That's a little military humor there for you. But, and to be honest with you, if I get killed right now, I don't care. I don't want to live in the world they're making. I don't. So if you have not already subscribed and hit the bells so that you get notification of any and all new shows, you might want to get that done. And we would appreciate you hitting the like buttons, if for no other reason than that's your testimony to anybody else who stumbles across the show that you actually like the show. Now, we know that very few people actually do that compared to how many watch. That's the way it is everywhere. This is not going to ever be a popular show, and I no longer want it to be. I don't want to teach to the sheep. I can't help the sheep, and I dang sure don't want to teach to the wolves. I want to teach to the faithful remnant, the sheepdogs and the rams, because that's all I'm called to teach to. And I will speak the truth as best I understand it until the day he calls me home. You're either going to listen and use it to your own life as best you can in your way that fits you and your circumstances, or you won't. I'm not responsible for that. It's not my job. And to the extent that I try to take that on as my job, I become that which I oppose. So you have to work out your own salvation. We're just here to provide a little plowed ground, a little seed, a little watering, a little fertilizer. But you and the Holy Spirit have to wrestle with the rest. Tomorrow, we're back in the Bible amongst... Wait a minute. Tomorrow's Genesis. Wednesday is going to be Hosea again. Thursday's the Bible among the myths. Friday, Judas' scepter, Joseph's birthright. So tomorrow's Genesis. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. Be here for tomorrow. Genesis like you've never read it before. No matter how long you've been in your church. And if you're Jewish, you definitely want to show up, because your rabbis have probably read Genesis incorrectly for a long time. And that's because they don't read the prophets or Psalms. I wonder why. So until we see you again, see you next. Y'all stay safe. Take care. We love you. We thank you for being here. Bye-bye.